right, let's get started. Thank you everyone for joining us today for the ARIA information session. Here is our quick agenda. So I'll start with a presentation of what is ARIA, how to apply, the different roles and responsibilities as an ARIA intern, as well as upcoming events. And we have two wonderful speakers with us today who are past ARIA interns and who will be sharing more about their experience and their tips and tricks on applying for ARIA and having a successful ARIA internship. And as I mentioned, we'll have time for questions at the end, so feel free to send them in the chat. Hopefully we'll address them throughout the presentation. But again, this is really a great time for you to ask the questions. I'm sure other people will have the same questions. So please don't hesitate to send them in the chat and we'll address them towards the end. So a quick introduction of the Arts Internship Office. My name is Jade, and we offer different kinds of opportunities. So not only internship opportunities, but also funding, training, and mentorship. There are three main categories of internships that we offer. So the postings that are partnerships with organizations, those are more traditional on the ground, off-campus internships that are listed under the postings categories. And then we have the ARIA research internships, which we'll obviously focus on today. And thirdly, if you find your own internship, you can also apply for awards. But again, those are not the research internships. So if you are interested to learn more about the different kinds of non-research internships that we offer, we had already an info session last week to go over all of the different resources. So if you're interested, there's a link to this info session, and we'll have some other info sessions as well coming up. But today we'll focus on the ARIA Awards and research internship opportunities. So what is ARIA? It stands for Arts Undergraduate Research Internship Awards. It was established in 2010, and the purpose is to support undergraduate students who want to take a research project during the summer under the direct supervision of a faculty member of McGill. So how the program works, the student finds a supervising professor, or in some instances, the professor finds a student. But regardless of how the initial connection is made, you apply jointly with the professors. There's only one application for student and professor, and you send this application form by the deadline, which we'll go into more details. As a student, you receive a total award of $5,000. So half of it is provided from our office through the awards, so 2,500, and the other half is matched by the faculty member or their department. I'll repeat it a few times throughout the presentation, but you always want to make sure that the award can be processed through Banner Student Aid. So again, it's good to check with the faculty member to ensure, because if they do have the funds, but it's not processed through Banner Student Aid, you wouldn't be able to receive the award. And so once you've applied, you undertake the research project over the summer during your research internship. And the project itself has to be related to your supervisor's research. However, you'll have your own project from start to finish that you'll be able to present in the fall. And you'll have direct supervision and mentorship from the faculty member throughout the summer. So as an ARIA intern, you not only do the research project, but you also receive training and workshops from our office and different offices around campus. The internship itself lasts around 11 weeks over the summertime, so between May to August. And it's a maximum of 25 to 30 hours per week. And as I mentioned, again, you have your research project, and then when you come back to McGill in the fall, you'll be able to present your research during the poster showcase event in the fall semester. So this is a quick overview of the ARIA program and how it works. A few more details about the award payments. They are disbursed in 4 payments throughout the summer. So again, our office takes care of the first 2 payments in May and June. And then the department, the professor's department takes care of dispersing the award in July and August. Just to note that you need to have a valid open bank in Canada and a Canadian social insurance number and a permanent address to be able to receive the award. Everything is listed on the website in more detail, but just a quick note to mention now. And these awards are funded through generous donations from both McGill alumni and funds such as the Arts Undergraduate Student Employment Fund offered by the Arts Undergraduate Society. And in summer 2025, we had a cohort of 29 undergraduate students receive $145,000 as ARIA recipients. So if you go to the link on our website, you can see the different McGill alumni who fund these awards, as well as the different funds available to support these opportunities. So the benefits for students, ARIA is really an opportunity to engage in a high level of scholarship, and it's a great preparation for graduate studies. It's an opportunity to gain skills related to methods of inquiry and receiving a one-on-one mentorship from a faculty member. So it's a really unique opportunity to have this relationship with a professor that you usually don't have in a class where, you know, there's a lot of other students, but during these projects, you really get to learn more about your professor's research and the methods of inquiry that go into these research projects. The benefits for the faculty member is increased participation of undergraduate students in the faculty research, as well as an opportunity to provide mentorship. In terms of eligibility and selection criteria, so the professors that are eligible, they have to be a full-time faculty member. Priority goes to faculty members in the Faculty of Arts. However, the professor could be from another faculty. So for example, for students who are in arts and science, it is possible sometimes that the supervisor would be from another faculty. What's very important is that they have to be a full-time faculty member. So that's something that you want to verify before sending your application. So it cannot be a PhD student or a visiting professor. If you're unsure whether the faculty member that you want to approach is a full-time faculty member, you can always verify with them and their department to ensure that they would meet this eligibility criteria. And in order to be eligible, the professor needs to be able and willing to contribute 2,500 or more towards the Research Internship Award. And once again, they need to have the funds available, and also they need to be able to process it through Byron Student Aid, BSA. So once again, if your professor is unsure, this is also something they can verify with their department. And important to note that there's only one application that can be submitted per faculty supervisor and one per student. So again, one application applying jointly with the faculty supervisor. In terms of student eligibility, you have to be currently enrolled in an undergraduate program, so Bachelor of Arts, Bachelor of Arts and Science, Social Work, or Theology. There is a GPA requirement of 3.0. If ever you've had, you know, a rough first year because of health issues or things like that, that you'd like to highlight in your application that has impacted your GPA, there's room to mention that at the end of the form. However, just to note that unlike our other internships, the ARIA program is more selective on the GPA requirements as it is a research internship. And so you need to have, you know, proven your interests and your skills in research through your classes. But again, if ever there's questions around that, feel free to come and talk to me before applying. You need to have completed a cumulative total of 60 credits by the time of application. And that includes advanced sending or transfer credits. So if you're starting as a U1, you might already have some credits in your Minerva, in your GPA. So you need to have the 60 credits at the time of application, and you need to be returning to your undergraduate studies in the Faculty of Arts in the fall. So just to note that you have to be returning in the same program. So if you're graduating, unfortunately, you are not eligible for this program. And all the eligibility criteria in terms of receiving the awards are also available on this link, which is also linked on the website. This is a question we get a lot, but just to note, if you are going on exchange, it does count as returning. You're still enrolled in the university. However, for this program, you are expected to be on campus to present your research in the fall. Exceptions can be made. However, it is preferable for you to be present in the fall to present at the showcase poster event. You are required to be on campus for the month of May to attend the trainings and workshops. Once again, the only exception that could be made is for university-related activities. So for example, if you are on exchange and are unavailable to be on campus for the month of May. However, once again, it is very preferable because this is one of the main attractions of this program, is to be receiving the training in order to conduct your research projects. Just to note that students cannot receive other awards such as SURA and other Faculty of Science awards or similar research awards for the same project. And sometimes students apply with the same professor and the same project to other awards. So just to note that you would have to choose one or the other and to declare it in your application. And a quick note as well for travel requirements, which I will go into more detail. It is possible sometimes to have a travel element to your research project, but just to note that there are some university requirements to be completed if that is the case. In terms of the selection criteria of application, preference will be given to students who have not received an ARIA award in the past. We do encourage in-person on-campus projects rather than remote projects. In terms of the selection criteria, what we will look at with the selection committee is the quality of the research proposal, the relevance of the project to the student's academic program, the mentorship provided to the student from the supervising faculty member, as well as the learning goals and outcomes for the students, the research plan and feasibility of the project within the 11-week timeline, as well as I mentioned, the student's academic records is important for this application. But once again, if you've had something impact your academic journey, there will be room for you to mention that in your application. In terms of roles and responsibilities, mainly the training and workshops that is included in the ARIA program. So the role of the faculty member, they are asked to identify potential applicants and discuss opportunities related to their own research and prepare a brief statement. So when you prepare your application, you want to make sure to prepare it with your supervising professor so that they can help you write the proposal and explain the link to their own research. They need, by co-signing the application, they agree to supervise the internship work. And again, you need to include details about what the mentorship will look like and how regularly you'll be meeting with your supervisor. At the end of the summer, they need to provide feedback on their experience. And as I've mentioned, they need to be able to pay the 2,500 minimum towards the award. Just to note as well for the funds, there's another step of verification where the department chair needs to confirm that the funds are available to be used for the ARIA award. And once again, the award needs to be processed through Banner Street 8. Your role as a student, so it is to support the research of the supervising professor by undertaking a specific research internship project. Those projects are different from research assistantship, so ARIA positions, because you need to be given long-term in-depth tasks. So again, you'll have your own project that you'll be able to start and finish within the 11 weeks and be able to present during the fall poster showcase. And it does require personal initiative and putting critical input into the professor's research. So again, you need to be able to provide your own skills and take on this project. And again, at the time of application, we already asked you to provide all of these elements, but it's important to discuss them at the time of application and also when you start the project to have a very clear internship plan and project timeline. Meeting schedule between the student and the professor, as well as the weekly schedule, including expected days and hours per day. So it's very helpful for you to have a schedule, as if you had another internship where with the 9-to-5 schedule, and for you to have clear expectations of when you should be completing all the hours. As a student, it's your responsibility to maintain a time log and to confirm the hours that you've worked every week. And just to note that the award is conditional to you to completing all of the hours that you've declared in your application. So it is the responsibility of you and your supervisor to keep track of those hours being completed throughout the internship. Academic credit, I'll quickly touch on it, but it's always best to come and talk to me if you are interested in doing this. But you don't automatically get academic credit for doing the ARIA internship. However, you could enroll in a course in the fall term and do an internship course, for example, that is related to your ARIA internship, or explore other opportunities. It's always better also to talk to your department directly to see what opportunities are available, either through honors thesis, an internship course credit, or an independent study or reading course supervised by the same professor. So again, for all of these classes, it would be under the supervision of the same professor. Just to note that all of these have to be taken in the fall term when you return to campus, not during the summer. And it is obviously subjected to the professor's availability to supervise you in the fall, as well as the department to accept for you to be registered in one of these courses. And it's important to discuss those opportunities with your professor before the summer. And in order to get our office's approval as well, you would need to register before the start of the internship. So just to mention that it is a possibility to get credits in the fall term following the internship. And important to note as well that the work completed for the credit course would be separated from the work done during the ARIA summer term. So it's more of an opportunity for you to continue a different project, a different paper research, maybe inspired by what you've done during the summer, but it has to be a different content. So more on the student's responsibilities in terms of documents and events and training. So in March, April, the student has to submit documents once you've received your acceptance. We do an awards reception in April that you're required to attend. As I've mentioned, the ARIA interns have to be on campus in the month of May in order to attend the ARIA introductory event, the library workshop, and the equity in research workshop. In June, we have some other requirements, such as the social media post and some other social events. Sometimes the ARIA internships can be a bit more isolating, where it's just you and your supervisor, and you don't actually have a cohort of other students to be with on a daily basis. So we try to have more social events like pizza lunch to try to bring all the ARIA interns together. In July, you'll have access to a poster making workshop to help you create your final research poster. And the deadline to submit the final reports and research poster is in August. And as I've mentioned, in the fall, then you can participate in the poster showcase event where you get to present your research to the faculty. So a bit of a breakdown of what I mentioned, all of the documents that we require. So for example, you send us a headshot and a bio, and then we use it to put it on the website. And that helps us promote ARIA to both other students, as well as reporting to the McGill alumni and donors who support all of these internship awards. The social media submissions as well, again, that are used to promote the event. And it's a great way for you to keep track of your accomplishments throughout the summer and to look back on your experience. As I mentioned, pizza lunch, that's something that we've been doing for a few summers now. Again, usually in June, it's nice out. We get to hang out outside of Leacock and share some pizza. But again, we're always welcoming new ideas of ways to bring the cohort together and to kind of break the isolation that can sometimes happen during ARIA internship. So again, many opportunities also to grow within the program. In terms of events, as I mentioned, we have an award reception to celebrate all of the recipients in April, and then an ARIA introduction session in May, where all of the entire cohort gets to meet, and we go through all the requirements for this summer. And then when you come back in the fall, we have a few annual events as well that you're invited to, but then you're required to attend the poster showcase, usually in October. In terms of the training and workshops in the month of May, so there are a few workshops offered, and again, we partner with really excellent offices around campus that are experts in the field, and it's really an essential component of your ARIA award in order to be able to complete your projects as well as possible. So the first one that we offer is the library research workshop, where we partner with our colleagues from the library, and it's really an in-depth look into all the library research skills that you'll be requiring, throughout the summer and the different departments and resources available for you. So it's a way to connect. Again, you get a lot of support throughout these research projects in order to grow your skills as a researcher. We also partner with Equity and McGill and to offer the Equity in Research workshop. So especially for projects in the Faculty of Arts, but also beyond, it's always very relevant to think about the question of equity. And so this workshop really focuses on what is equity, what is the question of equity in research, as well as how you can integrate it into different parts of a research project. So again, even if your project doesn't seem obviously relevant to the question of equity, there's always some nuances that can be brought, and the relevance of sharing the knowledge generated through research. So this is a very interesting workshop that you get to do with the Equity and McGill team. So if all of this sounds exciting to you and you're looking into applying for ARIA for summer 2026, I'll go into more details of the application process. So for the application timeline, to start finding a professor and making those connections, it's always good to start as early as possible. So the fall semester is a really good time between now and December to start approaching professors and seeing if they're available. As I've mentioned, there's only one application that can be sent per professor. So some of the professors, might also be talking to other students. So it's good to start connecting earlier on. The application form will open around December of this year, and the deadline to apply will be end of February. So if you don't know where to get started, how to get involved in research, you can first define your interest. So what kind of topics have you been interested in class? Looking back on the classes, what interests have you had? Which classes did you do well in? What would you like to know more about? So again, it doesn't necessarily have to be only professors that you've taken a class with, but if there's a topic that you're very interested in and would like to approach another professor, that's always an opportunity as well. It's always good, again, when you think about approaching a professor, to do your own research, to do, to show your interest and that you've looked into these topics. So to look into what else has been written on these topics. To follow your curiosity, again, the best research begins with an interesting question. Maybe you wrote a paper and you like to go more in depth. So it's really about finding a professor who is conducting research that is linked to that interest of yours. And again, building on your strengths, so take account of your academic skills. Again, if you hate research, if you hate reading and writing, maybe this is not the best type of internship for you. And again, finding what are your strengths within your research skills, what type of assignments you've done best on, and how can you sharpen the tools that you have, again, from all the training that we provide, and what skills do you want to gain. Once again, if there is something that you're thinking like, oh, if I want to do ARIA, I would like to get this kind of support, you can always let us know, and we can also add new training and resources to help you throughout the summer to continue those, sharpen the tools that you have and build on the skills that you have. To how to find a supervisor. So as I've mentioned, you can approach professors directly to mention ARIA programs. Some of them might already be familiar, some of them might not be. It's possible that professors also solicit applications from the students in their class. So sometimes the professor will approach you to know if they are interested, but again, it's important to build that relationship with the professors so that they know that you would be interested in this opportunity. And what's important is that you apply jointly with the supervisor once the forms open, and using the ARIA application form, which I will show you a bit more about in a minute. And once again, one application per supervisor and per student. A quick note to mention, the applications need to be approved by the department's chair to be considered by the AIO. So again, I'll show you what it looks like on the website, but it's not just sending the form. After that, you need to have it approved by the department's chair. So talking to professors, again, that's something that we hear a lot. Sometimes as a student, it can be intimidating to go talk to professors. So we'll share a few tips on how to approach your professor and how to prepare before approaching them. And also you'll hear directly from or past interns who can share their own experiences in finding a supervising professor. So important to note that every professor is involved in an ongoing research project. So it's important to take the time to find out about the exciting research that is happening on campus. And most departments list all the professors and their research interests on their website. So this is something I will show you right now. So first you go to the department's website, and then you find the people or contact section, select the faculty section, and then browse through the faculty members' research interest areas and publications. So I'll show you a quick example. Oh, can you just confirm you can see the websites? I see not. Okay. So yeah, the link brings you, if you just Google Faculty of Arts departments and programs, you will find the list of all the departments and programs in the Faculty of Arts. So if you want to find, or if you already know the name of a professor, you can just type their name and McGill, and usually will bring you directly to this page. However, if you don't know the professor and you really want to look into what is out there, you can think of, an interest of yours. So for example, let's do anthropology, explore the department. So once you go to the department's page, as I mentioned, you should want to find the people section. Sometimes it's either called people or contact, and then the faculty section. And then it lists all of the different faculty members in the department and their research interests. So for example, for anthropology, they're all listed on this one page. Again, depending on the department, it can look a little bit different. And then you can click on the professor, and there's a whole biography. Usually there's their email, even here there's office hours. So this is really your best resource to know how to contact the professor and to learn more about their research. So here for Professor Galati, there's only the publications, but again, I'll do another department to show you that it can look a little bit different. So for example, let's try East Asian Studies. So here, okay, there's also a people section, and then this one looks a little bit different. But again, there's keywords, so you can also do a search. There's really a lot of ways that you can go about your search. And then you can find the professor, and then here there's a biography, areas of expertise, research areas of interest. So again, when you prepare to go talk to a professor, it's very important to read through this page and get to know their interest, and to make sure that this is something that you would want to work on, and then to ask about their current ongoing research projects. And again, usually there's at least always their email address, which you can use to get in touch with them. So this is really my main advice when it comes to browsing the different research projects and the areas of interest of your professors and faculty members. And again, you can explore beyond the classes that you've taken, professors that you currently know. But it's important, again, to do your research before you approach them. And then once you do approach them, again, to come prepared and to show them this opportunity to work together over the summer. So again, how to connect, you can send an email to the professor and then attend their office hours. It's always great to be able to have a meeting, whether it's in person or online, and just to come prepared and do your research beforehand to reach out to the professor. In terms of networking and just knowing more about what kind of research opportunities are happening in your departments and in the faculty, there's many other people that you can talk to. So your teaching assistants, the departmental advisors. So for example, in political science, you can go talk to the advisor in the department, and they might be able to refer you to a certain professor or area of interest. Talking to students in your classes and conferences, the departmental student association representatives, and the Arts Undergraduate Society. And then there's a lot of events as well happening around campus about professors and their research topics. So lunch hour speakers, departmental events, and again, in order to find all of these events, those are other ways that you can network with the faculty members in your departments and in other departments. So yeah, hopefully those are helpful leads to look into and to find ways to connect. So how to navigate the arts internship website. So if you want to, I've already mentioned a few resources about the ARIA and the application process. So our office is the Faculty of Arts Internship Office, and then everything is under the Research Internship ARIA. So this main section has, it kind of repeats what I've been going through today, but what is ARIA, how it works, the eligibility and selection criteria, the role of the student, role of the faculty member, and the information on getting credit. This section on how to apply, just to keep in mind, this was the application for 2025, for summer 2025. So it's possible that a few details will change for next summer, but you can always refer to it now. So just to note, this will be the link to the application form, but for now it is closed. It will open in December. However, even when it's open, with the Microsoft Forms, you can see all the pages. So we make sure that all the information is listed on the website, so that you're able to prepare everything before going to the web form. So confirm that you meet the eligibility criteria on the main page. Again, we give very specific instructions on how to name your files, how to download them, so your unofficial transcript that you can find on Minerva. It doesn't have to be the official one. You don't have to pay for it. It's just save as PDF from the unofficial page. You need to include a proof whether you've paid or opted out of the ASAP fee. Just to note that, as I've mentioned, some of the funds that we match come through AUS and the ASAP fee. So if you've opted out, you wouldn't be eligible to receive the ASAP award. So important to consider when you decide whether to opt out or not. And we do have other awards that are not through ASAP, but in order to help with the matching, we ask that you upload a proof to see if you paid the fee or not. So important to know. The faculty supervisor's information. So again, those are sections that you want to make sure to apply jointly with the professor and to get all the correct information. So their name and email and contact information, as well as the McGill fund or grant number that will be used in order to pay their side of the award. Once again, the banner student age, you want to confirm that they are able to process the award through it. Section 3, I would say, is the main, the most important in terms of the quality of your application. You want to make sure that you spend some time on this section and that you do it with your supervising professor. So project title and description. The title, it can change, once you get to your final research project, but to have an initial title and description of the project. Again, this has to be your faculty supervisor's research project. So they should be helping you write this section. Important that it has to be a summary, so 750 words maximum, and it should be written in clear, plain language and non-technical terms. So again, students from all departments can apply. So also that includes more technical programs such as mathematics or psychology. You want to make sure that this is really a clear description, again, not going into technical details, since it will be read by the selection committee. And you want to make sure to include all of the elements here. So the overall goals and objectives of the project, the student's role, learning goals and outcomes, relevance of the project to the student's academic program, and the mentorship that will be received. The proposed start and end date, again, maximum of 11 weeks, number of hours per week, maximum of 25 to 30 hours, and projects over 30 hours per week will not be accepted. And as well as a detailed schedule with for yourself and with your supervisor. So Monday to Friday, 10 to 3, and we'll meet every week on Wednesdays. Again, this is something that can be tentative until you receive the confirmation, but this is very important to follow and to discuss with your supervisor ahead of time. As I've mentioned, if you are thinking of having an element of travel, so even if it is like just for a week, even if the entire duration is not abroad, you want to make sure that you follow the travel requirements. So you need to give us details on the location, the accommodations, and the travel. Again, if there's a conference, a meeting, a research, even if it's outside of Montreal, you'll have to complete one of the requirements, which is the McGill Student Travel Registry. Oh, okay, good to know that the link needs to be updated, but you can find it here. And it is an app that you put on your phone and you just enter your information of where you'll be traveling to. That way, if there is an emergency, McGill can reach you right away. So this is for any travel outside of Montreal. And for any travel outside of Canada, you need to do the pre-departure orientation. So this is an orientation that helps you prepare for travel. It's usually recommended to do 3 to 6 months prior to departure. So it's good to do it even now in the fall and then have the certificate ready for your application. As you can see, each month it opens during the first week, and you have 7 days to register online courses, and then you'll have access to the course up until the end of the month. And you can do it on your own time. I think it takes about like 1 or 2 hours maximum to complete, and it's going to give you all the resources to prepare for the travel. And once it's completed, you'll be receiving a certificate of completion. So you want to make sure to download that and have it ready for your application, because for anything outside of Canada that you're applying to that is university related, you'll need to upload a certificate of completion. So make sure to have it saved somewhere safe on your laptop. And it's valid for 1 calendar year. So if you did complete it, for example, last year to go on exchange, you want to make sure that it doesn't expire within the application period. But if it is still valid, you can submit that certificate of completion. So those are the travel requirements, and you'll again need to upload all of these proofs in the section of the application form. And declaration, so as I mentioned, you should not be receiving another award, and you have to accept to complete all of the responsibilities and requirements listed. And further comments, so again, if you experience barriers which impacted your academic performance, you can highlight it in this section. And finally, you have to make sure that in order, once you submit the form on Microsoft Forms, this is not sufficient for your application to be confirmed. You'll need to download it as a PDF and have it signed by the department chair or department head, and then send it back to us by email, and include the statement saying that the department confirms that the application is correct and that they agree to match the financial contribution. And then results will be, the students and faculty supervisors will be informed of the results by end of March 2026. So this is a detailed page on the application process. Here you can have a look at the responsibilities. Again, that was all the information for summer 2025, but this is a good overview of what will be required from all of you. So everything I mentioned from the event and documents that you'll have to submit. And there are some subsections, so about the award disbursement, that goes into details about when it will be disbursed and the steps needed to make sure you receive the award. There are a few elements. So if you have a named donor from a McGill alumni, there are a few elements that will ask you, like a thank you card and a final report at the end of your internship experience to be sent to your donor, as well as the workshops. So the equity in research, the library workshop, and here are more guidelines on the final report. We also ask that you take pictures throughout your internship experience to share with donors and other students. This is information about the poster guidelines. So we work with Dr. Chris Corkery from Graphos and the Writing Center, who helps you write and create your final research poster. And finally, the research poster that you create, you'll be able to present during the poster showcase event at the end. If you want to learn more about the past recipients, you can go through the past award recipients pages. So these are all the interns for summer 2025, and there's a link to their final research poster. So you can see a bit more about their research on here, and it is all listed by departments. And again, it has all the information about their supervising professor and the award they received and their research posters. And you can go back a few years again, so you can kind of see the different topics that students have worked on over the years. We have the ARIA spotlight section. So those are the final reports that we share on the website, kind of like as articles that you can read through. So if you are interested about one student-specific internship experience, you'd be able to read more about their experience in depth. And finally, the ARIA donor section. So again, this is a quick introduction of all of the alumni and different funds that are used to match the awards. So yeah, this is all the information, again, on our website. And there are, again, a few sections. So the mentorship that I will mention, you can find here, the travel, the credit requirements is under for students, document credits, for example, but it's always best to email me. The event section where you can register to events like the one today, and the contact information here. So I'll wrap up my slides and let our student speakers share their experience. This is a bit of a summary of what I showed you. You submit your application with the professor through the web form. You want to make sure to download it as PDF and have it signed and resent by email from the department chair. And yes, again, by email, and include the message on the page. For the travel requirements, just to note that our office is not able to help with the registration for pre-departure. So if you have any questions, you can reach out directly to the Safety Abroad office, and they're the ones taking care of anything travel related. So the pre-departure orientation for outside of Canada, and the travel registry for outside of Montreal. And again, it's a good thing to register already for the pre-departure if you're thinking of traveling. It's not binding, so if you don't end up traveling, it's okay, but it's better to have in case you do have any travel elements. And it just opened for October, on yesterday, so you have until the 8th to register for the October session. And without further ado, so again, if you want to read more about past interns, you can go through our past interns recipients on our website. And as well, we have our mentorship initiative, which was created with our undergraduate society. And this year we're using the new platform called the McGill Mentorship Network. So I think it's going to be a very elevated experience for both the mentors and the mentees. And the deadline to apply is this Sunday on October 5th. So you can register, create a profile, and then you'll be matched with past interns. So we have a few ARIA interns you can select in your application that you are interested in the ARIA internship, and then it will match you with a past intern who has completed an ARIA internship. It's very low stakes, so we just ask that you meet your mentor at least once, and we have a meet and greet event on November 12th to help facilitate the meeting between mentees and mentors. So again, if you're interested, this is a really great opportunity to have a one-on-one connection with the past intern and current student who can help you and share their experience. And if you are interested in ARIA, I really encourage you to come to the research events that I've referred to so many times, the poster showcase. It's happening on October 21st, 2025, between 5 to 6:30 in the faculty ballroom on McTavish. And as you can see, it's a wonderful room, and it's the poster showcase, so you don't have to come for the entire time. And there's no speeches. You really walk around the room and get to talk to the past recipients and hear about the research projects and results. And again, their supervisors will be there and other faculty members. So if you are interested, this is a really great networking opportunity, and I really invite you all to come to the event. And without further ado, I will let Amelia share their experience being an ARIA recipient. And go ahead a minute.
Hello, my name's Amelia. I'm an honors political science major, and I'm doing a minor in GSFS and in communication studies. This summer, I worked with Professor Yann Allard-Tremblay in political science. He's a political theorist specifically. His project was called On Being Repeatedly Gobsmacked, Crises, White Ignorance, and Normalizing Western Civilization's Death Path. So just kind of briefly what I did, that was a chapter in a book that he's writing. I mostly worked on that one by trying to find media articles, but also academia that kind of framed crisis in many different ways. And I also worked on a lit review for the book as a whole, which was kind of an end of summer thing that I worked on. And the work you do can look very different depending on where you are in the Faculty of Arts. Like in political science and philosophy, it'll kind of look like what I did, but a lot of people are doing kind of more sciencey things with graphs and stuff, not what I do. So The tips I would have, particularly just for how I prepared the application, um, the hardest part is finding the professor, I would say. The application itself, like we went through all the details of that. Like it's a document you prepare. You have to kind of outline when you're going to meet, how many hours you're going to work a week and stuff like that. The longest part of that is the actual project description. What I have to say about that is that by the time you're applying in February, your professor will probably have a pretty clear pre-written outline of what your work is going to look like, just because they probably will have drawn up some kind of proposal for panels, for journals, something like that. So that was actually a pretty quick process for me, and a lot of the work is actually the professors to do. What you have to figure out and communicate with them is just kind of what your summer is going to look like. Like I didn't travel very much this summer, so that was very beneficial. But my professor did travel a lot this summer, so there's going to be like a lot of things to consider in that respect, but it's not too difficult to plan. Um, I think this was kind of mentioned, but tips for finding a professor would always, it's kind of, I think you can probably guess what they are, but try to take more than one class with them. That's not always possible, but if you can only take one class, I would emphasize like always going to office hours, trying to participate in class. Like just, you want them to know your name. So that would probably be the most important thing to do. So, another thing I would say is just like when you're either writing them to ask to do an ARIA with them, or if you're meeting them, just make sure you have a very clear sort of account of why you want to do the ARIA. They're spending like thousands of dollars of their grant money on you. You want to be convincing in that, like, you show up and you have a clear outline of like, I want to do this because it's really going to help me with my honors thesis. It's really going to help me with my grad school. So just make sure that you have something like that that's prepared. But then the sort of upshot of that argument is that, like, remember these professors are teachers and like they're there to teach you. If they wanted like some kind of high level research assistant to do super important and rushed work, like they would have asked one of their grad students. So like remember that this is also a learning experience and it's part of their sort of teaching mandate. So as long as you kind of seem passionate about it, don't worry about the sort of aspect of like you're only a 21-year-old undergraduate student who only has research experience that extends to the scope of like your classes. So that's what I would say. Just don't be too nervous about that part because often it'll be like your first experience. That's the whole point of this, doing like more professional research that goes beyond like a syllabus, if that makes sense. So that's all I have to say, honestly, for tips on the application.
Thank you so much, Amelia. That is such a good point. Again, just highlighting this is called ARIA as an undergraduate research. So really, you really are expected to come as an undergraduate student. This is meant to be an opportunity for you to have a first step into the research. And again, if you are looking into grad school or further opportunities in research, this is a really good stepping stone. So you're not expected to have all the answers, and this is really a collaboration with the professor. So thank you so much, Amelia. We have another speaker, but feel free to stick around if you have any questions for Amelia. There's some in the chat as well. And next is Misha, who also did an ARIA internship this summer. So go ahead, Misha.
Hello, everyone. I'm Misha or Mikhail Nakamura Burnett. I'm enrolled in the Honors Cognitive Science program offered by the Faculty of Arts and Science with a minor in computer science. The title of my ARIA undergraduate research internship for this year was constructing a pipeline for automated tracking and behavioral doubt detection, which I performed and completed under the supervision of Jean-François Poulin in the Neurology and Neurosurgery Department at the Montreal Neurological Institute. In terms of my research specifically, it was a bit of an extension of what I had already done in a previous research course at McGill. And in comparison to Amelia, was a bit more sciencey with graphs and stuff. But as mentioned, if you would like to learn more about my research and my poster, you can visit the ARIA website and the posters there as well. In terms of tips, the way I came into contact with Dr. Poulin is I actually went on his floor at the MNI and I saw a poster that his lab had presented, and it really sparked my interest in his specific research. And then afterwards, I contacted him like directly about the poster. And if you want to, it's important to kind of look for research posters or research papers already done by a professor, and to not necessarily read them like and completely understand, but to just be interested by their research and also mention those papers or posters in the email, because that excites the professor as well. As mentioned before, the annual Faculty of Arts undergraduate research event would probably be a good time to look at posters and also look for professors that interest you. I visited his lab website to find his email address, but I'm sure you can find it at the arts website as well. And then I provided my CV and transcript. I emailed many professors, so it wasn't just like I emailed one and then I had to email a few. And I think my main advice in terms of contacting professors is don't be discouraged when they don't respond. A lot of the times professors are, well, busy clearly, and also in certain times of the year they have to write grants for research, and so maybe they read it but weren't able to respond. So don't be discouraged, like rewrite an email, just say like, hi, sorry, I don't know if you missed my email or not. And yeah, don't be discouraged for sure. I think another thing is in the email mention things like the ARIA internship, as well as potential other courses or just concrete things. Professors like to hear when there's a concrete project that they can work on throughout the year. So that's definitely some other advice. And in preparation for the application itself, I asked about what projects were currently being done. And in my case, it was a smaller lab. So there were about 3 or 4 projects. And the one that I looked at with the poster, that one specifically, I asked and said, oh, could I work on this specifically? And so then he gave me the contact of his graduate student, and I talked with him and the graduate student about what steps I can do to kind of support the project. And again, because you're an undergraduate, you're not supposed to be doing all the work. A lot of the time, it's mainly aiding the graduate student, at least for me, with just kind of their project. And so if you feel like you're taking too much of responsibility, make sure to let both the graduate student and the professor know, even during the internship. But afterwards, after kind of knowing what project I wanted to do, he gave me literature. The professor gave me literature to read and to write my project proposal. The project proposal, again, I think is ideally supposed to be written by the student, mainly to just understand and evaluate how much they understand the project. But in the end, always ask either the graduate student or your supervisor to read over it and correct major corrections. And that really helps in your own understanding of the research you might be undertaking throughout the summer. In terms of other practical tips, I think I suggest contacting the principal investigator at least a few months in advance, so October, November, and then try to complete all the literature, because that takes a lot of time to just read through papers and understand what you're going to be doing. And yeah, that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Another, again, really good point. Again, this is very collaborative between you and the supervisor, and you want to make sure that you are interested in their research and that you do understand what they do. Again, first when you first approach them, but also, again, you're going to be spending 11 weeks of your summer working on this project very intensely. So again, this has to be in line with your interests. And again, those initial questions of what sparked your interest, what would you like to know more about? But thank you both so much. I think this is a perfect also view of the more sciencey, less sciencey side of the ARIA project. Again, definitely come to the event on October 21st. Both Amelia and Misha will be there. So if you have more questions, we do have time now for questions. A quick summary of upcoming deadlines. So if you're interested in the mentorship program, I'm not sure if Amelia and Misha are on there, but the deadline is on October 5th, and then the event, the poster showcase, October 21st. There's a link to RSVP for the 21st, but it's not mandatory. Again, it's a really poster showcase. You can just walk in at your own convenience. The application form will open around December. Make sure to register to our listserv to have all of the announcements in your inbox. And then the deadline, again, will be announced soon, but it will be towards the end of February. So as I just mentioned, I really recommend signing up for the listserv and newsletter. I know I'm sure you already have a very crowded inbox, but it's really the safest way to have all of the updates as on time. So you can just send an email to the email right here and send the command. We also have social media, so that's also a good way to stay in touch, but a bit less reliable, with the algorithms and everything. If ever you have a question, here's both the office email and my personal email. So if you have like a more specific question about whether, any like eligibility questions, etc., it's always great to email me directly. And we have drop-in hours. Again, we're located in the Leacock building on the third floor in room 307. And we offer one-on-one advising. So again, if you have a more specific question, you can always come by and talk to our staff and register to the events on the website. So these are the drop-in hours. Again, our door is usually open Monday to Friday, but those are hours where you can come for the one-on-one advising. If you can't make it to those hours, you can always send us an email or get in touch. And these are all of our wonderful staff and advisors that work at the office. So there's Joel and Maria that are here in the chat. And again, you can come for one-on-one advising and sit down with them and talk about your applications. Again, if you're debating between an ARIA internship or another kind of internship, you can come and ask all of your questions. But again, it's great for all of you to be here today. This is definitely like a great first step in your ARIA journey. So if there are any questions, we're not a big group, so feel free to unmute yourself or send them in the chat. Yes, Paloma, go ahead.
Yes, hello. Thank you so much for your presentation. I have a couple of questions. The first one would be if we already found our professor, but that our professor this year doesn't have a grant and cannot match ARIA's amount, what are the ways to go about that?
That's a good question. Definitely the kind of situation where you would want to write to myself directly. I would say to talk with their department to see if there are other opportunities available as well, and other grants available. Again, it is really, usually the 50-50 where the supervisor needs to be able to match the grant, but, it can be case by case. So just maybe doing more research on their end with their department and seeing if there are any other funds in the department that are available, but feel free to send me an email directly and we can look into it and see what we can do. And thank you for your question. Are there any other questions? I think there's something in the chat. There's a question that says, when would be a good time to start contacting professors? Can we from now, or is it usually too early for professors? I would say the earlier the better. Again, I haven't done an ARIA internship myself, but I think even from our speakers today, they mentioned the earlier the better for different reasons, because another student might already be talking with them about doing an ARIA project for next summer. Again, take the time to do your research. It might also take more than one professor to get a yes. So I think it's good to start now, at least to look into the different, again, research interests and different professors available. I don't know if Misha or Amelia, you have any timeline advice from your own experience?
One thing I would say is that I asked my professor about the ARIA after Christmas just because I'd done my second class with him and kind of gotten a bit closer to his work during that fall semester. So, as much as we recommend to start things in advance, sometimes advance means as soon as Christmas is over kind of thing. And that'll be about when other students are asking too. So just trying to do it as soon as possible then. Yeah, that's what I'd recommend.
Yes, I also did something a bit similar. I had a research course for about a year with the professor, so I already known him for a bit, and that's why I was able to ask. I have cold emailed professors before. I think in general, it's quite hard to reach them. It's just kind of due to restrictions. So if you're planning to cold email, I would really recommend to already look at what types of professors you want to contact and just send kind of a email to all of them. But I also do recommend to make sure you kind of concentrate your effort into each one. So don't just write a template email and just send it because it won't attract their attention.
That's all very good points. Again, those kinds of applications that can look different. I think it's also more maybe of a, slow burn, and like it takes the initial research now to think of which professor, if there's another class that you want to take with them, or if someone that you haven't taken a class with and you want to create that connection, it might take more work again for you to maybe start now, maybe go to events, as I mentioned. And I think starting the research now to see what interests you have and what's out there. Obviously sometimes students find the professor like a few weeks before and it does work out. So it's hard for us to really say exactly when you should be reaching out and what week you should be sending the email, because it can look different depending on the student and the professor. But again, having maybe a bit of a strategy of like multiple supervisors, if you're taking the class with them, seeing if they are available to supervise you in the summer. So maybe like start to ask around. And maybe breaking the ice, not to wait until last minute. That's definitely, I would recommend not to wait last minute, because professors are very busy. So you need to schedule time ahead of the deadline in order to be able to prepare your application. So hopefully that answers. I know there's a few more, so I'll try to get to them. I know we're past the time. So the other question is, does the professor have to be teaching in the same program department as our major? Not necessarily. You can work with a professor from a different faculty and other departments as well. Again, it is we try to work mostly with faculty of arts, faculty members. But again, especially for the more science, arts and science degrees, sometimes the professor can be from a different faculty or department. Again, as long as they meet all the requirements, so having the grant funds available, being able to disburse it through Banner Student Aid, and being a full-time faculty member. So those apply for all the departments and faculties. Again, if there is a specific eligibility question, you can always reach me and make sure ahead of applying. Let me know if that answered your question. And I think it was just advice from Misha to offer a Zoom meeting or go to their office hours. Again, yeah, that human connection, I think, works for everybody. And as both the speakers said, creating that link with the professors so that they know who you are. Again, there's a few exceptions or like cases where the professor thinks of a student that they would like to work with on their project, but in order to be that person for the professor, you need to maybe have taken the course and showed interest. So again, in terms of reaching out, maybe you're not necessarily talking about ARIA just yet, but you're starting to go to office hours. And again, doing more research about their research, you can go to them and ask about their research and show your interest, and that you'd be a good person to work on the ARIA project with. So again, everyone looks, depending on the department and the professor, it can look differently, but I think it's good to start now and to have a few options as well, to not put all your eggs in one basket necessarily, because you might do this work and then find out that they're not available. So different ways to go about it. Are there any other questions? I know we're a few minutes past. If ever there are any, again, you can send us an email at AIO if you'd like to be put in touch with one of our past interns directly. We can do that as well. And we really invite you to come to the event, obviously on the 21st, and to join the mentorship program to be paired with a past intern. But yeah, thank you all so much for being here. Thank you to both of our speakers, again, taking the time to share your experience. I think it's very valuable. Obviously, we can help with the technical application side of things, but your real life experience is always what's the most helpful for students to hear. So